Hi, I'm Sheana Davis, the Epicurean Connection, and welcome to Cheese Chat. Our new line for Cheese Chat is Cheese Chats, creating community through cheese. So today we have Tracey Shepos, a chef and cheesemonger at Kendall Jackson Estate in Santa Rosa. Thank you, Tracey, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Tracey is a chef and a cheesemonger and manages the cheese collections at your different estate wineries throughout Sonoma County. And Tracey, please share with us your role at Kendall Jackson.
Oh, right. We don't have enough time, Sean. I have one of those amazing jobs that is easy for me to go on and on about and brag about because I get to do really, really cool things and it's all connected with wine. So just think, right? Everything I get to do, someone's like, try this wine, taste this wine. So it's not a bad gig. One of the favorite hats that I wear is creating cheese pairings for many of our brands. So something that many people don't know is that Jackson Family Wines, we call it the umbrella, but Jackson Family Wines owns over 50 wineries around the world. The most common wineries would be Kendall Jackson, La Crema, Matanzas Creek, to name just a small, 3 of the 50. And so we have a culinary team for the entire company. And one of my jobs is that I get to create pairings. So it's a really, really fun gig. It's I get to eat a lot of cheese and drink a lot of wine.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't lying when I said it's a kind of a cool thing to brag about.
So Tracey, you work primarily out of the Kendall Jackson Estate, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And you have a team of chefs that you all create the menus, but you get to curate the cheeses to pair with the wine selections for the various wineries?
Yeah, so within Sonoma and Napa counties, we have about 12 different properties. And so that's kind of within the reach of our team. So if there's an event, and we also, well, pre-COVID, we did a lot of traveling as well, but now it's, within the realm of where we can drive to. So we do things for all of those properties. And we're really proud to say that outside of maybe 1 or 2 cheeses from the Central Valley of California, all of the cheeses that we serve are all from Northern California. So everything we serve is from California, which is not limiting in any way, because as you know, the amount of artisan cheesemakers we have in California is, it's such a great pool to be able to choose from. And so it very much goes in line with what we think. Kendall Jackson is obviously a brand that most people know. It's a brand that people are very loyal to. So we get a lot of visitors here from around the world. And so it's really great. Part of the importance of the relationship is not only being able to serve amazing cheeses from cheesemakers like yourself, but to also be able to share that wealth within the community. And so people come here to Sonoma County, to this beautiful estate, and then we are able to then, pass along, oh, why don't you go check out Epicurean Connection? Why don't you go check out Valley Ford Creamery? And there's so much within range of where people are visiting. So it's awesome because, like I said, so many great cheeses to choose from, but also just really continuing to build our community.
Absolutely. I mean, you and your team do a great job also promoting our cheeses as Cheesemakers of California, supporting the California Artisan Cheese Guild. You've been one of the guests there before, I know, and you've taught cheese classes there.
Yeah.
And you also did the cheese certified professional, the cheese program.
Oh, in Vermont. Yeah. Oh gosh, that feels like forever ago.
My mind just went blank. Yes.
Yes. At the University of Vermont, I did the certified professional cheesemakers program, which was so intense. It's very, very science driven. But again, it just, it allowed me to really hone in part of the craft of, I love cheese so much. And part of why I wanted to really have this be part of my job is purely based on my personal enjoyment of cheese. So it's a bit selfish, but I was able to make that kind of selfish, that love of something grow into part of my job. And so I wanted to really understand it well. And I wanted to be able to know that I was taking the right care of the cheeses that people were sending to me, and that I was using them properly and talking about them properly and really giving it the respect that I feel like it deserves. It's the same as wine, right? Like someone else puts all this time into making such a wonderful, beautiful product. I certainly don't want to be the one that messes with that.
Well, speaking of wine, I brought 3 of your wines out today. I have your Matanzas Creek Sauv Blanc.
Yeah.
I have your Kendall Jackson Chardonnay and your Kendall Jackson Pinot. And
great choices.
And by the way, the Matanzas Creek is one of our top wines for all of our cheese classes.
Really? Yeah.
Such a meritage with Delice. I mean, and we order cases of it through our local wine shop. Now that we're not a wine shop anymore, but soon to be again.
Nice.
The permits were just pulled behind our building. A winery is moving into the building that burnt in the fires, but they're building a winery and a tasting room. So there's never been a tasting room on this property. So I'm letting them do all the legal work. And once they hang their permit, I'm going to go file mine.
Perfect.
So it's like days away to filing for an ABC license.
Nice.
So, but the Matanzas Creek, this is one of my favorites. Do you want to share the information about that?
Yeah, so Matanzas Creek is, like I said, one of the wineries that Jackson family owns. It's in Sonoma County. It's in an area called Bennett Valley. So it's a little bit off the path of what, you know, people would consider the real, you know, not real, but the realm of where a lot of our wineries are. This is a gorgeous property, really, really pretty property in Bennett Valley. And part of what makes this property so amazing is the lavender fields. We have these gorgeous lavender fields. So in the summertime, when you go out there, you just see the most beautiful purple for as far as the eye can see.
It's amazing.
Very cool. Very cool. So it's fun to just go out there and spend time because it's, you know, you have to drive a little bit to get out there, but once you get there, you don't want to leave. It's one of those spots you don't want to leave. There's a bocce ball court. There's beautiful outdoor seating. And so right now we're seating and tasting there easily because we've got so much beautiful outdoor seating. So it's just one of those really great wineries that, like I said, you get there and you don't want to leave. Now this particular wine, the winemaker there is Marcia, and she takes so much pride in all of her wines, but Sauvignon Blanc is near and dear to her. And this wine, I have some here too. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers to Tracey virtually, and cheers to everyone in currently and when you view this later.
Yeah. So Sauvignon Blanc is just something that Matanzas Creek is known for. And what I love in particular about this Sauvignon Blanc is that it's what you want a Sauvignon Blanc to be. You taste it, it's got this really kind of ripe acidity on the palate, but not so much that it's overwhelming. And you know, you take a sip, you swallow, it's bright, and it hits you right on the side of your palate, right in here. So when you take a sip and you set the glass down, instinctively, you're reaching for that glass again. It's like without even thinking about it, you want more. You want more. And it's because it's good and it's because it's hitting all the right spots. But like I said, what I love about it is that, and I love a high acid wine. Like that's for me personally, like I like a wine that almost makes me kind of pucker sometimes. And this doesn't do that. It's just got this nice, it's really smooth on the finish. It's like, it hits you and then it's smooth, which is also part of why it's such a great cheese wine, especially with the Delice. Because Delice, right, it's cow and goat. I think that it has that nice brightness as well, but it's got this great richness, which when I have this wine, I'm not missing it. It's not one of those things that I taste and I'm like, oh, I wish this had more oak, or you don't want that. But when you have it with the Delice and all of a sudden there's a little bit of richness on your palate, it almost adds some texture that you didn't know you wanted, but then you got it and you're like, oh, this is cool.
You know what, this week we made olive oil crostinis with Meyer lemon olive oil.
Oh yeah.
To go with the Matanzas Creek Sauv Blanc and the Delice. It's like, what took me so long, Tracey? This is
yeah. And Sauvignon Blanc is one of those wines that, you know, like if I were forced to choose, hey, look at your hair.
He's the dude abides.
It's so long. COVID. Right?
Sorry to distract everybody, but it's true.
Of course. No, but Sauvignon Blanc for me, like if hard pressed, you know, to choose a cheese with a wine, Sauvignon Blanc is one of those wines where I could easily say goat cheese, right? Like a Chev style goat cheese. So even though there's cow's milk in this cheese as well, it still has that brightness that you get from, it's that goatiness, right? That there's no other word unless you could, I've never been able to come up with a better word to describe like a Chev other than goatiness, because everybody knows what that means. Whenever you've had Chev, you know that goatiness is that flavor. And it just pairs so nicely with Sauvignon Blanc, right? Those traditional characteristics of Sauvignon Blanc are things like citrus and sometimes like sweet peas, but that acidity is really important. And it just creates this really lovely balance with a cheese like this.
Well, I mean, and goatiness is the word that we all use. Laura Chanel used that word, goatiness.
Oh, okay.
I think you're in the good company.
So I'm in good company then.
And by the way, Laura Chanel's husband, John, is who helped me create my Delise.
Really?
He was my consultant on.
I didn't know that.
Delise Stella Valley. John Van Dyke, who is Laura Chanel's husband and was the cheesemaker, fix everything that breaks was his title. And he taught me how to make Delise. And in order for me to be different than what Laura Chanel does, he's the one that introduced me to Jersey cow milk.
Nice.
So it's 70% goat milk, 30% cow milk. So it carries a heavy goaty flavor, but the cream just creates that palate that makes it a little more presentable to people who may be afraid of goat cheese.
Yeah. I like that you brought that up, Sheana, because right, like like I said, we see a lot of people here at the estate, and when we're doing cheese pairings, oftentimes there'll be someone that says, oh, I don't like goat cheese, or they'll fill in the blank. I don't like Chardonnay. Right now, who doesn't like Chardonnay? But that's my favorite guest or customer to have come through, because they're pretty easy to win over, right? We've got the best ever here. We've got wine, so that kind of fixes everything. But also because when you have a cheese like Delise, right? Like I think sometimes people think that they don't like something, but maybe they haven't had it paired with the right thing. Because I think that's part of it too, right? When you're having wine and food or wine and cheese together, that pairing can create something so harmonious and such a memorable experience for something that you may not traditionally like or like on its own.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah. So love this. I could eat this before we started. I was just sitting here snacking and I had to stop. I was like, this is going to be gone before the Zoom starts.
That's because you haven't been able to enjoy Delise for 7-8 months.
I know. And it's as delicious as ever. And a really this is a cheese that's honestly good on, you name it. Like when I have this cheese around, I'm spreading it on toast. I'm eating it with jam. I'm just dipping crackers. It's awesome just with crudité, right? Just a really good like carrot from the garden in there. It's really, really good. Or I've used Delise to make gnocchi before. So instead of making a ricotta gnocchi, I've made a Delise version.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you were at Willie's Wine Bar where I first met you. You were doing the crudité basket with Delise.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, with vegetables.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so much fun. So I'm still a customer to this day. So thank you.
Yeah.
So we have your second wine here. Would you like to share the information about your Chardonnay? Because this one is like, well, you see me, I always come and get cases when I'm going to my family reunions. Because my family always like, are you bringing KJ with you? Of course I am.
Yeah. Of course you are. Kendall Jackson, I mean, what are we known for? Chardonnay, right? We've had the #1 selling Chardonnay in the country for over 25 years. Wow. I can very proudly, I am not lying in any way when I say we make a good Chardonnay. And so Grand Reserve Chardonnay, this is another really great wine. As a chef, when we do wine and food pairings, the main goal is balance, right? Any good pairing, you want balance to happen. And that's what this wine just starts with on its own. Really, really great balance of a little bit of richness, acidity where it needs to be, but then this really nice balance. There's not one thing that's too in your face with this wine. It's just a really well balanced on the palate. And so it makes it a very food friendly wine, which is wonderful as a chef, right? I want a wine that's very food friendly. So we've paired it here with your Lucy. This is a goat milk brie. What's cool about this and what I think is great about this pairing is, brie has a nice richness to it traditionally, but the goat's milk in this, I think, cuts it. It's not quite as rich in a good way. And then also the rind. I think the rind is a really important part of the pairing with this wine, with any pairing. And I don't know if as a cheesemaker, I don't know how you feel about this, but whenever I represent cheese, I constantly have to say to people, if the rind is on there and meant to be eaten, you should eat the rind. It's part of what the cheesemaker has made. And so if you're only eating, that center part, you're not really getting the full experience. Plus, I don't know about you, but I hate it. If I go to a party and there's a cheese platter and somebody's eaten all the good stuff out of the brie, like the center, not cool. It's not cool.
That's a party faux pas.
Yeah. So I just love this because I think that the outside of the rind is right. It's kind of mushroomy, right? It's got this nice earthiness to it, which I think is really awesome with this wine. It brings out a little bit of the earthiness.
Yeah, actually, the penicillin candidum, and we purposely added an extra enzyme. This rind doesn't get thick. It stays thin because of what you said, the people that don't like wine. As it ages up to 12 weeks, I want it to be thin the whole time because I love a good rind until it gets granulated.
Yeah.
And so this one for 12 weeks will stay thin and smooth.
Yeah, I love that. I've never, you know what, Sean, I've never actually thought about that with this cheese before, but now that you've pointed that out, it really is nice that it's not, it really is the meat cheese with just a little bit of that rind, and the rind, the textures, it's gentle, right? It's not a really, you know, it doesn't like contrast too much with the center of the cheese, which is nice.
And it also comes with good karma because we bought the cheese molds from Redwood Hill Goat Farm.
Oh.
So it is the old camellia mold. Jennifer Weiss's original, the original goat milk free in the country. I bought her molds when she sold her creamery.
Wow.
Which is why we have Lucy now. So
wow.
Pretty lucky. And these are her molds right here. These are the, remember the Gravenstein gold wheel?
Yeah.
These are the molds.
Such good juju.
Coming soon when we're allowed.
Right.
As soon as I can collaborate a cheese, we will be making a new cheese in these molds. In the meantime, I just set them up in my cheese chats and put my hand on them because that's what I can do right now.
That's fine. Hey, they're getting used.
They are. Can you tell us more about the Chardonnay before we depart? I have one question. Do you taste wine, or cheese, wine, cheese? And
this is a good question.
Let's go Tracey first.
Right? Wine, cheese, wine. Now that could be because the winery pays my bills.
Well, I would actually agree with you as a cheesemaker.
But I think that most experience that I've had with people, it's wine, cheese, wine. And that's, you know, you have I always say, like, you take a sip of the wine, swallow, and immediately take a bite of the cheese. And almost as you're swallowing, it's almost like kind of wash that bite of cheese down with the wine, because that way there's the opportunity for all of those flavors and textures to meld and be on your palate. And like I said, that's part of it. You know, this rind, even though it's, you know, it's soft and delicate, it really, like, you can, when you have a sip of the wine right as you're tasting out, that texture of it comes out a little bit more. And it's really cool when you notice that on your palate, when you're able to notice that.
I mean, another one of my favorite cheeses was similar to this, but cow milk, is the Loma from Nicasio Valley Cheese Company.
Yeah.
Their rind is perfect. It's thin in it, but it has that chewy texture.
Yeah.
To me, it goes, and not for my cheese, but I just think with your Chardonnay, it is such a perfect pairing because I had it just the other day. Yeah. And Rick LaFranchi was on our show when we used your Chardonnay.
Oh, did you?
And it was just perfect. He's the only person we've let in our warehouse during COVID. Oh. But he wanted to come, so we set up safely apart and did our together, and it was really fun. But we used your Chardonnay with this Loma, and it was perfect.
Nice. Well, thank you for including us. And I really, you know, like, I mean, again, going back to what I was saying, right? Rick and you know, the Nicasio cheese family, like, it's just such an awesome, small but big community that we have here to be able to enjoy such amazing, delicious foods and drinks. And
oh, I long for the days when we get back to your cheese festivals and your tomato festivals.
Yeah.
And, you know, you might have asked me 5 years ago, like, oh, no, I'm fine without the tomato festival. Now I long.
No, we all miss those things for sure. So, yeah, it'll happen.
Here we are. We're talking about it and sharing it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main principal reasons we started the Cheese Chat, was to bring our community of cheese people together. So you as a chef, cheesemongers from around the country, cheesemakers, distributors have been on, because we're all and we all work together. And in the times when we can't get together, this way we can be together.
Yeah, for sure. Love it.
And so, last but not least, by the way, my father's favorite wine.
Oh, is it?
Yes, just so you know.
Cool.
My dad loves his Pinot, and he gets upset when his local market runs out of it. And I always tell him that he can just tell me and I can make arrangements, but no, he likes to.
Yeah, we can get it for him.
My dad likes to buy 2 bottles at a time. I'm like, Dad, you could buy a case.
Yeah, if he likes it that much, he should buy a case.
Makes sense to me. But this Pinot, to me, is such a food-friendly wine, and I'm not saying that because I'm a big KJ advocate, but this particular Pinot, when we pull it out at our cheese classes, and we always get the one gentleman, always a gentleman, that rolls his eyes, oh, KJ, it's everywhere. And so we've taken your idea and we serve it in a glass with no label.
Oh.
And then after they've tasted it, enjoyed it with the cheese, then we pull the bottle out and show them what it is. There's nothing to debate about because they've enjoyed it. They're reminiscing about it. And then, so that's, we have taken your idea and that's how we serve the KJ Pinot Noir now.
I like it.
People love it and it's so food friendly, but we love it most with Karen's Highway 1.
So again, another one of our cheese friends here, Valley Ford Creamery, Highway 1. We affectionately call Karen, Justin has a great name for her, because she, you know, when we first started buying cheese from her, she would hand deliver it, which oftentimes you guys all do, which is, I love it that we get to have face to face, but she's got these awesome muscles. I mean, the woman is, she's got these great arm muscles and and it's just, I mean, it must be from making cheese. I've never actually been bold enough to ask her. Every time she's in the kitchen, she leaves and we're all just like, man, did you see it? Like, she's just so strong and I love it. And in my mind, it's always because she's, you know, making cheese and I just love it.
Oh, she's amazing. And
yeah.
then she's doing a full cafe now, the Valley Ford Cafe.
Uh-huh.
And making cheese and running and breeding jerseys. Like, I look up to her as like, oh my goodness.
Wonder Woman. So
well, she came to you at the Toyota Festival. She met Guy Ferrari and she almost passed out.
Did she really?
I have a picture and I will find it. When she met him and he's like, I really like your cheese. I thought we had to catch her because she nearly fell off the quad.
That's funny.
One of my favorite moments and I happened to get a picture of it.
Oh my God. I'd love to see that photo.
It's priceless. I will find it. But it was great.
Maybe we'll have to contact him and get her a signed picture.
Oh, for sure. Because she would die. So
funny.
Tell us about the Pinot because this Pinot is so food friendly and your winemaker, he does such a great job with these wines.
Yeah, so this is 100% we call Jackson Estate grown Pinot Noir. So all of our grapes, this is a high elevation, spends a little bit of time in, spend some time in French oak. And again, I think that that food friendly, you say food friendly as a chef, I say balanced, right? That's what it translates to me as. And it's awesome. That's what we want. Again, like you have this wine and it's a little bit fruity. It's got this really nice balance to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And your winemaker, he was so much fun to make cheese with.
Randy?
Oh, so much fun.
Yeah, so Randy Ullum has been with Jackson family making Chardonnay and other wines with us for over 20 years.
Wow.
Over 20 years, yeah. So he is a very important part of the company and continues to make with his team just really fantastic wines, award-winning wines. So, and he's just, like you said, he's just a cool dude.
When we made cheese last year at your festival, I actually sent Ben Rand to Oliver's and bought more milk because Randy was so intrigued with the process that we made an additional batch and had Randy make the entire process.
Nice.
Because he couldn't believe it was that easy.
Yeah.
And so he made it. And then we sent him home with the 2-pound wheel of cheese.
Nice.
And it was beyond his belief that you could just make cheese like that.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite party tricks.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Right. Wow. So the Highway 1, what I love about this pairing, right? Highway 1, I don't know how much age is on this cheese. It's a Fontina style cheese.
About 3 to 6 months, 3 minutes. Yeah. 6 maximum.
It's still soft. I mean, not as soft as a brie, but it's a soft cheese. It's got, I say this because I love it. It's got a little funk to it in a good way. It's one of the cheeses that has some funk to it. Now, if I described other things that way, it might maybe sound like I'm describing it in a way that's not pleasant or not something you'd want. But with cheese, you want that. With this kind of cheese, that's what you want. You want a little bit of funk, and it's good.
And Karen's funk is delicious.
It's really good. And what's great about it is that it's a subtle funk. Like, again, it's not in your face. It's not the only thing you're getting. Beautiful creamy texture on this cheese. But what that funk, that funk does here is that it holds up to the wine, right? Because we had Sauvignon Blanc, we had Chardonnay. Now we're in a Pinot, which is a bigger wine. So it, you know, a cheese that has a little bit, what I call girth, a little bit more going on is what you want too, or else it would just kind of disappear.
I think it brings out the earthiness of the wine too.
Yes, yes. And that funk does some fun things with the fruit too.
Mm-hmm. It really adds to the wine. So if you have wine, the cheese, and then the wine, they're a perfect mariage.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a really nice pairing.
Trying to lasso Karen to come on our show, but she's always so busy. I'm going to go with Joe, her son, instead.
Yeah, who, you know, another great cheesemaker.
Joe, so anybody who's listening, Valley Forge, Joe will be the 4th generation dairy farmer and 2nd generation cheesemaker, and he's amazing. That blue cheese he's created is off the chart.
Yeah.
And his brother has started another dairy, so now they're adding. So they have new dairy in Valley Forge, and they're doing milk delivery service for Valley Forge area.
That's great.
I think it's amazing. And what a great pivot during COVID.
Yeah.
So they're delivering Valley Forge cheeses, Two Rock cheeses, bottled milk to anybody in that Valley Forge Point Reyes region. Amazing.
That's cool. That's, you know, I mean, that's the amazing thing about what's going on right now is that not only are we all having to be creative, but, you know, kind of going back to some things like, right, there was a time where everybody got their milk delivered. And, you know, maybe touching back on some of those things is I don't know, I think it's cool.
I mean, there's not a lot I like about COVID, but I do like these parts that people are returning. Like, we're actually doing home delivery food service now.
Yeah.
I never thought in 30 years I'd be delivering food again to homes, and yet we love it.
Yeah.
And we're not going to stop doing it even when COVID is gone. We're going to continue to deliver to those customers because they're like family now. They know us. We bring them food. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Tracey, before our listeners depart on us or we depart on them, I'd like you to share about your gardens.
Oh, yeah.
And your cookbook. And to make sure everybody knows they can visit Matanzas Creek.
Yeah, so all these things. So where I'm located and our culinary team is at the Kendall Jackson's Wine Estate and Gardens in, our technical address is Fulton, but we're just right off the highway from between Santa Rosa and Windsor. And it's a beautiful, beautiful estate. We've got about 3 acres of culinary gardens and we are open. We're lucky enough to have these gardens and a very large property. So we are doing all of our seating outside. So we're doing wine tastings, we're doing wine and food pairings, we're doing chocolate pairings. There's an opportunity to just come and walk around our garden and play in the bocce ball courts. So we are much like Matanzas, we're at these days, we're the kind of spot where people come and the next thing you know, it's 3 hours later and you're still hanging out because it's such a beautiful property. It feels very safe because we can spread everyone out so well. And it's just a really great place to be in the beautiful sunshine, and we've got great food and wine. And so kind of what more do you need? So we're doing that here. Yes, Matanzas Creek is also open. Like I said, lots of great space there and property and available seating outside. And so they're doing a lot of tastings over there. And yeah, I mean, we're lucky enough. La Crema, Sarah Lee's, one of our other properties, they're open as well. Yeah, so we're very fortunate that we have properties that are large enough to be able to really accommodate what's going on in the community right now, and to you know, be able to let people come out and just feel a little bit normal, I guess, for lack of a better word, to be able to be here and spend some time with their friends and their family if they want, and still enjoy a really good wine and food pairing. And we do those every day, so with no reservation necessary, although we recommend them. But at Kendall Jackson, we do wine and food pairings from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. every day. And it's a really, really spectacular 5-course experience with vegetables from our garden, local cheeses, local, you know, farmers. And so it's cool.
And yeah. You have an amazing farmer in your garden, so people can walk through your gardens and be safe. I wish I could literally walk you all through the gardens right now. We have like I said, over 3 acres of culinary gardens, which means as a chef, I get to work in my Mecca. It's not only beautiful, but it's some of the tastiest produce I've ever worked with. It is the tastiest produce I've ever worked with in my life. So our head farmer his name is Tucker Taylor. And if you don't follow him on Instagram, you should. It's at Farmer T. He takes absolutely gorgeous pictures of vegetables. So he's worked with us for, gosh, I mean, at least I want to
at least 8 years now. It's close to, yeah, 8 years. And he's just created this beautiful space that is it's not just growing vegetables. I mean, it definitely yields beautiful vegetables, but when you walk through it, you know you're someplace special, and it's pretty, and there's beehives, and it's just a gorgeous place to spend time. And so I highly recommend coming and checking out our space. And Tucker also helped us collaborate. I'm the co-author of a cookbook. I'll show you all season cookbook.
There we go, thank you.
And so it was myself, my co-chef Justin Wangler, and Tucker Taylor, and our pastry chef Robert Nieto that helped create, and of course a large team of all sorts of other people helped create this cookbook. But one of my favorite parts about this cookbook is that all the pictures, including this gorgeous salad you see on the cover, it took us over 1.5 years to create this cookbook because we wanted it to be super authentic to what we do. And what we do here is cook seasonally because we have these gardens. So about 90% of what you see in this cookbook was actually grown in our gardens.
That's amazing.
So and that's how we cook. And the recipes they're seasonal. Everything's paired with wine. Most of them are very approachable. There's a couple that I like to call aspirational that are a little bit more challenging, but for the most part, we didn't create this cookbook to be chefy. We created this cookbook because we wanted to give people recipes that they will use forever. And if you don't cook, it's a beautiful cookbook, so it can just sit on your coffee table.
I have to get another one. I gave mine away.
Oh my gosh. Well, next time you come by, we'll get you one. Yeah.
So before we depart, I'd like to ask every cheese guest on our show, how does Kendall Jackson and you, Tracey, participate in our community?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Kendall Jackson, I like to say we have our hands in a lot of I mean, we're a big part of the community here. We employ many people in Sonoma County, and we're obviously a big company, and so it's a very important part of this family-run company to give back. And so, as far as the food side, from our gardens, that we donate food to the Redwood Food Bank. Farm to Pantry, as well as other causes that the family is just, the YWCA, just many, many causes, a lot of environmental causes as well. I'm really wanting to make sure that we are leaving the proper footprint for generations to come. And so that is a big part of what this company does. And I say that with pride, and my last name is not Jackson. So I have no stake in it other than being an employee, but I'll tell you this, I've worked for the company for 13 years. And that has to say something as far as, that level of loyalty, and not only how well they treat their employees, but I take a tremendous amount of pride being able to represent the company and be able to speak about the company I work for, really giving back to the community and taking, making that high level of importance.
Absolutely. And I can say as not a Kendall Jackson employee at all, I bring you cheese, but I see donations at Feed Sonoma. I see donations at Redwood Empire Food Bank when I volunteer. YWCA, as we know, we honor you and also Terry and Mark. And we're going virtual next year. So it's all in the works. Yes. But KJ really puts a lot back into our community that people don't even see, because when you contribute to your community, you don't put your name on it.
No.
You donate because it's needed. And I see a lot of produce, and I see a lot of wine going through these events. So thank you and your entire team, and Barbara Banky too. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Barbara, for sure.
Thanks from the leadership to the team. And there's not a higher or lower, but if you have good leadership, you have a good team.
Yeah.
And I believe in that firmly. So
yeah,
that's why I'm a KJ fan. So Tracey, any parting words before we finish our show today?
Yeah, just really quick, I'd like to say that if anyone's interested in purchasing these wines and trying out these pairings, you can go directly to the websites of each winery, kj.com or Matanzas Creek Winery, or we've got this really awesome website that started a few months ago called Your Wine Store. It used to be Our Wine Store because it actually used to be an internal just for the Jackson family employees. But when COVID started, we thought this is a great time for us to really open it up so people all over could order wines from all of our wineries. And so if you go onto yourwinestore.com, not only can you order Kendall Jackson and Matanzas, but you can order wine from most of our brands. And you can mix and match cases. So you can buy a mixed case, 12 different bottles, 12 different brands, 12 different wines. So if there's something you've been wanting to try, or you want to taste these wines with these cheeses, you should definitely check it out. There's constantly specials going on. between shipping and Chardonnay month, you name it, there's always something going on there. And it's a really great opportunity to taste a lot of different wines.
Well, great. I'll be sure to put that on our YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube, the Epicurean Connection, and our website, and I'll send you the link of this video.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Tracey, for taking the time to be with us today. Tell your team hello.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is really fun. I'll talk cheese and wine with you anytime.
Anytime. We'll be back next year then, but I'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.